Alright, so I'm going to help you guys get started on what I've left for you to do for today. So the first page that you have says that use the function y equals negative 2x plus 7 to complete the following questions. What is the rate of change of the function? So first of all, you'll need to know that rate of change is really talking about slope. Okay, and the slope in this equation, if we're talking about y equals mx plus b, is going to be where the m is, so that's going to be negative 2. So our slope is that. It is the number to the left of the x that is multiplying the x. And those are the words you would write to describe how you found it. The y-intercept of the function would be anything that we are adding or subtracting. So the y-intercept for this is going to be positive 7. So make sure you use the sign in front of that. 7, because that is what is either added or subtracted there. In this case, it is added. Construct a table of values for the equation. How does the rate of change appear in the table? How does y-intercept appear in the table? So our equation was y equals negative 2x plus 7. So my first input is going to be negative 1. So I use this to determine what my output would be. And you can put all of this into your calculator and push enter, and you're going to get 9 there. And then you do it again, but this time we're going to use 0 as our input. So I'm going to change that to 0. And then evaluate this. So negative 2 times 0 plus 7 is 7. And then I continue doing this. New value, I've got plus 1. So this time, or positive 1. So this time I'm going to say negative 2 times a positive 1 plus 7. And that'll be 5. And then you continue doing that. To find where the slope is, or the rate of change in the table, and we did this with the cup problem, here is where we're showing that we're losing 2 each time. But then here on the x side, this is showing where we're gaining 1. So that shows us where the slope is negative 2 to 1, vertically to horizontally. Then how does the y-intercept appear in the table? The y-intercept in the table is actually right here. That right there, I'm running out of space. 0, 7 is the y-intercept in the table, which matches up with what we said right here, that 7 is the y-intercept. So then it asks us to construct a graph for this function. So I'm going to use this table of values. I've got 3 from here. I'm going to start at the y-intercept. I've already got a y-intercept of 0 and 7. So that goes there, and there's your y-intercept. And then I also have negative 1 and positive 9. And then the next one I have is 1 and 5. You guys need to finish out the table, and then you'll need to finish out, the graph. Okay, let's just call it that. Okay, so then the rest of the question said, how does the rate of change appear on the table? So you guys have seen this quite a bit. We start here, we draw the little vertical and the horizontal side of the triangle. Right here, this shows us the vertical is -2 from here to here. From here to here, this shows us the one horizontal, and it will repeat itself all the way down the table, or excuse me, the graph. So that's how we see the -2 vertical side of the triangle, and then the +1 horizontal side of the triangle. And then the y-intercept we started with right here. This is where in a graph we see our y-intercept, which was 0 and 7. So here we have it represented as a graph. Here we have it represented as a table of values. And here we've talked about what it looks like in an equation, how we can find the slope and y-intercept in all of those different representations. You guys will need to finish on your own. You will need to finish this, and then you will need to finish the rest of this graph. Where is the rest of those points? Okay, and that's all I have for this part. Let's scroll over to this next page. I'll do a couple of these with you, and then you're free to do the rest on your own. So you need to identify your slope for each of these and your y-intercept, and then you're going to put that in an equation. So personally, I think the easiest place to start is the y-intercept. This one's a proportional relationship. It goes through 0. And then figuring out the slope, you draw the sides of your triangle. You guys have had a little bit of practice with this. So I see a 3 vertically and a 1 horizontal. And that can simplify to 3. So then when I write that into an equation, it's y equals 3. Remember your x. I don't need to write plus 0. I can, but I don't need to, because this guy, he's proportional. All right, scrolling down. Y-intercept. I said that backwards. Slope and y-intercept. So the y-intercept is where it's crossing the y-axis. So here it's -4. And then figuring out the slope, it looks like it's going through this point right here to me. So then when I draw my triangle here, this is a -2 vertically and a 3 horizontal. Now you can use your calculator to see if that will simplify. It won't. So your equation, slide this in to the slope place. So it's -2/3 times x. Slide this into your y-intercept place. So -2/3 x minus 4. Another one that might cause you a little bit of trouble is number 4. We have a y-intercept of 4. But when you look at this guy, it has no vertical change. We can't draw a triangle out of that. And it's going straight all the way across, so you could call it 10 if you like. And we have no slope there, though. This is a 0 slope. So on our equation, you could maybe start with 0x plus 4. But when you simplify that, when you multiply 0 times anything, you have 0. So we don't really need to write the 0x plus 4. We can actually just write the equation as y equals 4. Okay, and this kind of breaks down this whole process for you on this right here. So now that I've gone over that, I think you'll be okay. The second box, I think you should be okay after you've done the front. These word problems, I do need you to be able to do. Something that I didn't mention with you guys before is right here where it says initial value. Initial value is another name for y-intercept. Initial means at the beginning or at the start. So that's talking about the y-intercept. Rate of change will be talking about your slope. Okay? So those are some important practice questions that you guys need to be able to do in order to prepare you for your Unit 3 test that is next Thursday, 1 week. All right, and that's all I have for today. You guys finish the rest of these questions on your own. If you finish all of this and you have more time, there are some math assignments from this year in Edgenuity. One is proportional relationships, and the other is graphing in a variety of contexts. Those are available to you to use as extra credit. So you guys are welcome to do those after you've completed these 2 pages and turned them into the substitute. Thank you for listening.